can we just get your rank, first and last name?
I'm Gunnery Sgt. Garrett Dean.
And what's your billet with a Force Reconnaissance Company?
I run the Reconnaissance Team Leaders Course as part of the Recon Training Company at SOI West.
And what's your hometown?
I'm from Harlington, Texas.
And could you just tell us a little about Staff Sgt. Medley?
I could tell you a lot about him, but you don't have a whole lot of time, so I'll be kind of brief. Medley was very much a character. He is a unique Marine and somebody I'm going to miss a lot because of that. He always had this smile on his face, and a lot of people thought that the smile meant that he was happy, and I always kind of took it just to be more that he was present in the moment, because he would be smiling whether it was raining and stuff sucked, or he was getting a ridiculous order or something else like that. And he would smile that same goofy smile whenever he was happy and we were off doing something outside that he enjoyed.
And can you just tell us what is the purpose of a Force Recon platoon? Like, what do you guys do?
The Force Reconnaissance and Marine Reconnaissance in general is meant to be the eyes and the ears of the commander. We go forward of our friendly line of troops, and we gain information on the enemy and their disposition and their activities, and we're able to paint a better picture for the commander. To a limited point, Force Reconnaissance is used as to conduct small raids on specified targets.
And so were you with him while he had two combat deployments, I believe, to Iraq and Afghanistan?
He had one combat deployment whenever he was still in the grunts, and then once he came to reconnaissance, he deployed with our platoon in 2008 on very short notice to Afghanistan. And he was a SAW gunner then, and we had a very busy deployment. He was there throughout every one of the missions, and I always remember him because every time that we would be going out to do something, he would still have that goofy smile, whether it was in the middle of the night or in the middle of a firefight. I can remember looking at him next to me in a trench and him smiling back with that same ridiculous looking look while we're calling in a 2,000-pound bomb on an enemy position. So yeah, I remember him pretty well. I remember a lot about him from that particular deployment.
And could you just give us a story, maybe, that something that happened, that's personal between you two, something like that?
Caleb was good at a lot of things, mostly because he worked at it really hard. He was phenomenally in good physical shape. The one thing he was not very good at initially was marksmanship. And I took it upon myself to try and get him schooled up on that by every time he would come over to my house, which was at least a couple of times a week, shooting him with an airsoft gun. And he would come in, sometimes it would be in the house, sometimes it would be as he was coming up, and eventually he finally started to fight back, and he got a little bit better, not much, but we always had that going on, and despite that, knowing that I was going to probably ambush him at some point or something else, I could be working out in the garage and he would stop and spend 30 minutes to try and help me out or whatever else, and then I would shoot him later on. So we had a lot of fun.
And so could you just explain why it is important for us to be here to remember him?
I think that we've had a really strong showing for Caleb because he was the unique person that he is. I wish that we could have a memorial service individualized for every Marine that's fallen throughout the last 10 years of conflict that we've been involved in. And I do actually feel a little bit bad that we can't do that for everybody. But I'm really happy that we're able to all show up here and show support for Caleb's family that came out from Colorado, as well as just to honor his memory and the...
Can you just explain maybe the differences between a regular reconnaissance platoon and a force reconnaissance platoon? What different roles you guys play?
A regular reconnaissance platoon and a force platoon share a lot of the same skill sets. Traditionally, moving up to force reconnaissance has been something of a career advancement, so that you'd usually spend some time in a reconnaissance platoon where they're pushed out to a lesser extent in distance from the forward line of the battlefield, and a force platoon has a little bit more experience on its side typically, You usually have staff sergeants as team leaders, whereas you have sergeants as team leaders at the battalion level. With the force platoon, they also, as it stands now, currently have the additional medal of conducting limited scale raids, which is not an integral part of a battalion capability.
And just last question, can you just explain what it's like to just lose a Marine in such a tight-knit group of people?
In a lot of ways, it's not any different than the average infantry platoon. I spent my first 4 years in the infantry, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And some of the friends and contacts that I made then have lasted me, through 15 years later. And there's that same sort of bond of closeness and everything. One nice thing I do love about the reconnaissance community, and that I think sets us apart, is there are so few of us. There's only just over 1,000 active duty recon Marines at any given point in time. And whenever one is lost, we all know each other, by first name generally. And it resounds a little bit more than just hearing about somebody else who died. It's always sad, but whenever you personally know someone, it kind of hits a little bit closer to home.